Let's hear from Buccaneers offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich and also quarterbacks coach Clyde Christensen on this broadcasting deal that Tom Brady has landed with Fox.
Well, I think that's excellent. And it's crazy. When you're 45, you have to think of your next job when you're still playing football, right? You have to do this early, right? But he's a smart. It's the way he see football.
Anything he does well. Right? So if you told me, hey, he was going to become a plumber, I would tell you, yeah, he'll end up being a great plumber, because that's just how he approaches things. So the blanket statement over that would be that anything that Tom Brady puts his mind to, he makes sure he's good at. That's just how he's wired.
He's a football junkie, and he has an interesting perspective of the position. And I think it will be great for everyone to hear that, everyone to see how he's wired, the way that he sees football, because we're talking about the best ever, right? The fact that you get the best ever to play the quarterback position, have an opportunity to listen to him talk about football a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, is a great thing.
Yeah, who knows when it will be. And what's your over-under? Well, I'll give you the over-under and you tell me. 2024, over-under or that year?
I'm going under.
To be in the booth.
I'm going under. Oh, I mean, as far as that year, let's see. So, no, I think he will be in the booth for 2023. I think this is his last year. I do. I'm gonna go with that angle. And this is his last hurrah, and that's why this deal is on the horizon.
In a weird sort of way, he said he doesn't want a farewell tour.
Right.
And we originally thought when he retired that he was saying 45, 45, 45, so he would do the Irish goodbye at 44 where he's just gone.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And he never has the farewell tour. There's never that last year. Now that he's still going to be so heavily involved and he's so deep in the conversation, and it's like he's not leaving, he's just got a different gig. Maybe it's not a farewell tour if it is his last year. It's different. It's different.
It is a little.
Than it would be like other great quarterbacks who do become Marlon Brando for the most part once it's over. They're just gone.
That's
They're
where
done.
I think it's fascinating. It's like, again, like can you imagine Michael Jordan coming off of a 6th championship a year or two later, and all of a sudden he's announcing the big game in the NBA like every week? It almost to a degree like seems beneath those kind of people as far as they're such superstars. You're like, man, you're going to give us this kind of access to your life and your brain all the time? But I think also, Mike, to something we talk about, it just the freaking sport is exploding. It's exploding. It just is. It's just there's money coming out of the NFL's ears and every orifice they got. So these companies are seeing it, and they're going, damn, we gotta match it. It's becoming a show, a spectacle. And now Fox, you're going to turn it on, and they're going to have the King of Kings on there, and Brady, as far as football is concerned, and it's going to make the game feel important and a spectacle. It's going to be like, damn, Brady's here. This is a big one today.
And this is why Fox is paying the money.
Exactly, right?
It's not because anybody who wasn't going to watch the Fox 4:25 p.m. Eastern game is now going to watch it because Tommy is calling the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know, will there be people who hate Tom Brady who say I'm not watching this game because he's calling it?
If
no,
they are, they're
turn
stupid.
the audio
They're
down.
just stupid
That's
people.
Right. You don't deny yourself something that you'll want because you don't like the guy who's calling the game. They pay the money because it adds to the overall grandeur of the sport. And the NFL likes that. The NFL could react on one hand to this deal by saying, holy crap, Fox paid us $400 million a year for the comprehensive NFC rights package in 1994. Now they're paying their top analysts $375 million a year. Maybe we could have gotten more money from Fox. Maybe we should renegotiate our deal with Fox. If they can pay Tom Brady $375
they got too much extra
million
cash,
a year,
right?
they got too much extra money on the books, and we want it.
Right.
The other side of it is because look, everything that Fox does on an NFL Sunday, everything that CBS does on an NFL Sunday, everything ESPN does on a Monday, everything Amazon does on a Thursday, everything NBC does on a Sunday, everything that the two of us do, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, promotes the NFL for free. It's all, think about this, the coverage of the sport, the presentation of the games, every damn story that I write, when I roll out of bed in the morning, get one posted, make myself late to get up here in time because I want to get some fresh content out there, feed the beast before we get to the show, and then go back downstairs and keep writing all day long and looking for different angles and different stories. Everything that I do, you do, and everybody connected to the coverage of the sport does is part of a free infomercial for the NFL. Think about that. Think about that. Everything we say promotes their product.
Right?
And we pay them for the privilege of doing it.
When we see Roger Goodell, what's he say to us the last time we saw him? I mean, what do you...
Yeah. Can we say it on TV? Yeah. We're getting a little loose here, but I'm not sure we can say what he said the last time. I'm kidding. No. He didn't say it. I can't say he didn't think it, but he didn't say it.
But he did. I'm sure he thought that about both of us, but he didn't say. He said thank you for the what? The support of our
coverage.
Sport.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for the coverage of our sport. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, saying thank yous.
Why also thinking, man, Florio's an asshole. He was thinking that, but different words were coming out of his mouth.
Here's what I would like to think. This isn't supposed to be about us, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I think there are some people in the league office who are incredibly short-sighted, and they get pissed off about the things that I say and the things I write. And I think there are others who realize that the coverage is meaningless, and if you have a bunch of automatons under the NFL Network umbrella, said it, saying everything is awesome, everything is awesome, everybody's winning the Super Bowl, everything is awesome. This year I'm a Bills fan, this year I'm an Eagles fan, this year I'm a Cowboys fan, this year I'm a Seahawks fan. Everything is awesome, 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 awesome. You can't have all of that. I'm not saying there's no place for it, but you got to have a broader palette.
Yeah.
Of assessment and analysis and emotion to get the full experience. So, anyway.
Agreed with that. Anyway. It's a sport that's got a lot of nuance. It does. And it can handle.
It's got a lot of flavors.
It does. There's a lot of different angles you can take and talk about and different areas you can break down.
Salty. Yeah, all those flavors, and I choose salty.
We know you choose salty. That's for damn sure. Yes, sir, you do. But you're right.
Somebody's got to.
You got to.
Somebody's got to.
You got to add to the intrigue of the conversation and bring up angles that, yes, aren't in line always with the establishment. And always just going, oh, yes, establishment, you said this. Okay, I'll pass along the message just like you said it. Oh, and yes, you must always tell the truth, right? You're always telling me that. No, bullcrap. Of course not. There's a lot of things at play here, and yeah, hopefully that's what we do is we make people question. We try to make the sport better, and we know some people in the sport know something about the sport. Hopefully, we can give a little knowledge.
Maybe Tom Brady will come on the show once he's retired.
Well, you might have a chance with him. Me's the problem there. He's
been on the show.
I'm going to be the jerk there. All right. Right.
I had him in the aftermath of Super Bowl 51 for a half hour, and I still don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened either. That's crazy. I would love it. I would. I mean, hey, Brady, he is capable of being loose and funny and, very good people skills and even though he's Tom Brady, has a great humbleness about him as well. And I think that's going to come off on TV. Just like, again, I think for the most part it comes off as well, as a player. I mean, most people just don't like him just because they're sick of him winning. I don't know if there's really like a true personal thing about the guy that you could really go, man, I don't like him because of that. I can understand him not being your favorite, but I don't think he's done anything other to go, man, the person's a jerk or I don't like him. Am I wrong?
Let me throw a curveball at you. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Yeah. And the sport is conducive to hating the star players on the team that competes with your favorite team. You think Bills fans are thrilled about hearing Tom Brady every week?
Right. Exactly.
You think Jets fans are real happy about this?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
They'll get used to it. But think about this angle.
Yeah.
And I don't, go ahead and put up the Conspiracy Mike graphic if you want to in the back room. That's fine. That's fine. But Fox now has a fairly high-profile future employee. If you're the Saints and you're showing up for the production meeting on a weekend, you're playing Fox at 4:25 p.m. Eastern, and the Fox crew rolls in to watch practice and attend the meetings. Are you thinking, and you're playing the Bucs and Tom Brady that weekend, are you a little more guarded in what you say and what you let him see and what you let him experience until Tom Brady is no longer playing for the Bucs?
There it is. Well, yeah, it's a fair question. I mean, you're not crazy there. It goes on in the NFL. I mean, damn, hey, my dad was doing the championship game between the Jets and the Denver Broncos, right? Jets got Bill Parcells, Broncos got Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan wasn't real comfortable with Big Phil coming in and watching Friday practice. He didn't really want that to go down. I think they made an excuse that day to basically say, we're not letting anybody in the facility, but it was because of that. So, I understand the thinking by teams, but what teams don't realize, too, is these people are going to lose their jobs over this if they get caught telling or doing any of that. It's over. So
right.
People
They're
are
going to get caught.
Yeah, right. People don't want to do that or take that chance. And the people that are in this business, for the most part, are pretty stand-up people and try to live by the word of the law of the sport there a little bit.
One of the reasons that Brian Billick quit talking to me was because there was a coach in the NFL who was concerned when Brian Billick would show up to do a Falcons versus X other team game.
Yeah, right.
And because Brian Billick's brother-in-law is Mike Smith, who was the coach of the Falcons.
Sure.
And there was a concern there about having him around. There was a concern, and Billick got pissy that I dared to pass along that there was a concern. Well, sorry, Brian, there was a concern. I'm the messenger. You want to get mad at me about being the messenger? I don't care. But and I'm sure people were concerned when Chris Spielman was showing up when the Vikings are playing.
Sure.
Somebody. Chris Spielman, Rick Spielman's brother, is showing up to do the production meeting and be at practice. So the bottom line is, and I ran this by somebody yesterday, and the answer was, you can get through an hour without saying a whole lot of anything.
Yeah.
If you just kind of take over the conversation and filibuster your way through it.
Right.
You really don't say anything, and you're not giving anything up. You just have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
That's right.
You're aware of it, just like Mike Shanahan was aware that Big Phil's coming to practice, and his mentor, Bill Parcells, is the team they're getting ready to play.
Yeah, exactly right. You keep your cards close to your vest there. That's one where exactly right. You control the conversation. And I think there's a lot of coaches that do that. They kind of, I've heard some of the great ones. They get in there and they take over the meeting and they tell a few stories and laugh and chuckle and then bring up a few points that they want to bring up that the crew knows. And they're, hey, one or two questions, and I got to get out of here. I got to get to a meeting, and then there's the meeting. And then, the crew goes, oh, that was great. He told us those stories. Well, he wanted to tell you those stories. He was going to control that. That's what the good coaches do.
Yeah. So, to summarize, before we move on, Tom Brady's getting a load of money. How's he going to be? I don't know. I'm rooting for him, though. I'm rooting for him. Not that he needs my support.
Yeah.
Not that he needs my encouragement. Not that he needs anything in the world that anyone can now give him, especially with $375 million coming in over the next 10 years. Oh, I know what Pete's trying to get me to move along, which makes me more
shut up, Pete.
Ignore him. I thought this was funny yesterday. All the Buccaneers fans, presuming that because Brady has done this deal, that is in some way conclusive proof that all the stuff about the Dolphins was phony. How do you make that leap? How do you make that leap? They're two different things. And he could still buy a piece of the Dolphins. And he could still play for the Dolphins next year. It changes the dynamics once Rupert Murdoch shows up with $375 million over 10 years. But the fact that he does this deal in May has no bearing on whatever he was cooking up behind the scenes back in January and February until Brian Flores filed his lawsuit. And if anything, the fact that this thing fell out of the sky the way it did shows that Tom Brady's got a pretty good capacity to cook stuff up behind the scenes that we don't know about until it's done.
That's
and then we say, holy
point.
crap,
Yeah.
we didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Right. I mean, it means nothing. I mean, he could have been
finagling. It's irrelevant.
I know. He could have been making the move to go to the Dolphins while this was being made behind the scenes with his agent. It's not really that complicated. It's still a move for when the career was over. Listen, for people out there to still question that whole thing, I don't know why. I don't even like the whole NFL knows it's so real. It's ridiculous at this point. Nobody's denying it. Nobody. They might be.
You know what they still
they're
cling
denying
to?
little
They
details.
Well, or they still cling to the fact.
Yeah.
That ESPN was asleep at the switch, so they act like it never happened. They will week one.
Right.
They will week one. Shefty or Mort week one. Well, Tom Brady playing for the Buccaneers. They almost was playing today for the Dolphins as they take on the Jets or whatever, or NFL Network, same deal, because they both missed it. They didn't want to give us credit. Let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
Here, Tom, here's how you do it. You call it like it is. They were both asleep at the switch. They either held the story. Remember when Shefty held the Rodgers not happy in Green Bay story and said, well, I decided the day of the draft. Well, that's shame on you for holding it if you knew.
Yeah.
And now they don't want to have to give anybody else credit. They were asleep at the switch, so they just act like it didn't happen. The fact that ESPN and NFL Network have never reported on this, have never bolstered this, that gives the Bucs fans that want to plug their ears and say not listening something to cling to. Because, hey, if ESPN and NFL Network haven't said it, it must not be true.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, again, hey, Schefter's been in the Brady camp a lot, right? He went to Michigan. So, and again, maybe that's something he knows and just didn't want to release because of the personal relationship there. But, yeah, I mean, it means nothing. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. People are crazy. It's happened. It talked to people directly with the Buccaneers and the Dolphins. Directly, it happened.
And, pieces of it have been confirmed. The Dolphins admitted from the get-go they called the Saints about Sean Payton. You think they're getting Sean Payton to coach Tua? You think Sean Payton, all due respect to Tua, now that we've already completely pissed off the Bucs fans, let's pivot to the Dolphins fans. By the way, did you see that laser that Tua threw to Tyreek Hill at practice? I digress. Do you think Sean Payton was going to Miami to coach Tua? Do you really think that? Do you think the Dolphins knew in their hearts, we're going to go get one of the great quarterback coaches of all time, and his quarterback's going to be Tua? Do you really think that, folks? That there wasn't some other plan in place to make it more enticing for Sean Payton to come to Miami? And even though the Dolphins haven't publicly admitted it, they have privately acknowledged there were conversations about making Brady a minority owner. The pieces were there. And it was all coming together until Brian Flores threw a big-ass wrench into the gears. And I still think there are no coincidences, and one of the reasons he filed the lawsuit was to put the kibosh on it. When he filed it. Not he was going to file it anyway, but when it hit, it kept it from happening. So it could still happen. Bottom line, he could still buy a piece of the Dolphins. He's got $375 million more pre-tax coming in that he could use to fund that purchase. He could still play for the Dolphins next year. This doesn't preclude him from playing until 2030 if he wants to.
Right.
So you're on record for 2023. I'm on record for 2024.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.